everyone, Beau is back for another classic movie review. Today I will be reviewing the 1987 thriller A Prayer for the Dying. This movie was based on the 1973 novel by author Jack Higgins and stars actor Mickey Rourke in the lead role. Now, I'd never actually heard of this film before. I recently reviewed another Mickey Rourke film, Year of the Dragon, from 1985, and upon just researching that movie, I stumbled upon this. Got to say, it's a pretty cool name. It definitely stuck out to me, A Prayer for the Dying, and so ended up watching the trailer online, reading the synopsis, and seeing Mickey Rourke play an IRA terrorist. I thought, this is very interesting. So yeah, immediately wanted to check it out. Interestingly, Mickey Rourke adopted an Irish accent for the film. By now I've seen a fair few Mickey Rourke films, and he's not an actor that frequently uses different accents for different roles. So yeah, Mickey Rourke doing an Irish accent, that was very intriguing to me, thinking, okay, well, you never seen him do this before, and can he pull it off? So A Prayer for the Dying follows Irish terrorist Martin Fallon. At the very start of the film, him and a fellow IRA member, Liam Dougherty, played by actor Liam Neeson, rig a bomb to destroy a British army convoy. But the plan goes terribly wrong when the convoy allows a school bus to overtake on the road. The next thing we see, the school bus explodes, killing all the students, and definitely a shocking way to start the film. Following the bus explosion, we see Martin's reaction, and clearly he's kind of distraught, and the character is taken back by what he's just done. The whole incident really affects Martin, who ultimately decides to leave the IRA for a new life in America. Martin's this jaded character, and is clearly affected by his past. And now with the bus explosion killing many students, Martin, can't take it anymore, and he just wants out. Martin doesn't want to kill again, and like he says sometime later on in the film, there's already been enough killing. And thinking about just how kind of jaded the character is, there's only so many lives you can take, there's only so many people you can kill before all that kind of comes back to haunt you. So from the get-go, Martin is on the edge, and Mickey Rourke really gives a powerful performance in this film. He is a murderer, but throughout the film, you as an audience member, you're kind of rooting for him. So Martin wants out, and in order for him to secure a safe passage to America, he gets tasked with one more job by a London gangster called Jack Meehan. Martin gets tasked to eliminate rival gangster Carrasco. Of course, immediately Martin, he expresses that he doesn't want to get involved and he just wants out, but Jack Meehan, the gangster, and his cronies insist it's the only way for him to get a ticket to America. Stressed and desperate for a way out, Martin reluctantly agrees to carry out the job and heads to London. So Martin gets to London and is able to successfully carry out the hit on Carrasco. But a priest called Father DaCosta, played by actor Bob Hoskins, complicates matters when he witnesses the assassination taking place in his churchyard. Martin and DaCosta have this moment where they lock eyes at each other. Martin kind of hesitates. He instinctively he wants to kill the priest, but then knowing his own religious background, him being a Catholic, there's something that he just couldn't do. The priest is rightfully shocked. Bob Hoskins gives a great performance in this film. The fellow rival gangster Carrasco is dead, and Martin slowly backs away exiting the churchyard. And when you think about it, the character was already reluctant to kill anyone and obviously had to be persuaded to take on the job and kill Carrasco. Martin ended up completing the job, and obviously seeing the priest, there was just no way he was going to cross that line and add another innocent name to his hit list. Martin escapes and he reports back to gangster Jack Meehan. The job got done, but now we have a witness. So Meehan orders Martin to go back and kill the priest to tie up any loose ends. And once again, Martin is threatened. If he doesn't go through with killing the priest, he won't get his passage to America. With all this going on, separately, Martin is wanted in connection with the bombing of the school bus. Police get word of Martin's whereabouts in London, and they begin their search for him. Following the failed bomb attack, the IRA send Liam Doherty, Liam Neeson's character, to London to find Martin and persuade him to return back to Ireland. Liam travelling to London to find Martin was an interesting subplot. It led to what I think was one of the best scenes in the entire film. Liam finally catches up with Martin and the two argue about him returning back to Ireland. With the police on the hunt, Liam argued it would be the best option. As stubborn as Martin is, he maintains his stance and he is truly determined not to go back to Ireland and rejoin the IRA. Now, this scene specifically where the two are arguing, it really does highlight the incredible acting ability of Mickey Rourke. Going into this film, never really remembering any major Mickey Rourke movies where he's, adopted an accent. And watching the film, I was a little hesitant because the character doesn't really speak much in the first maybe 5 to 10 minutes. But as the story develops, we get many long drawn out scenes that give Rourke the opportunity to showcase his newly learned Irish vocabulary. Liam Neeson, who plays Liam Doherty in the film, he, obviously is a talented actor. Thinking about it, the character doesn't really have that many scenes. Liam Neeson's screen time is pretty limited, but still, Liam Neeson delivers a solid performance as a conflicted IRA soldier stuck between a rock and a hard place. This movie came out in 1987, and this was an early role for Liam Neeson. I'd previously seen Neeson in a season 3 episode of Miami Vice, and just want to mention it here because coincidentally in that Miami Vice episode, Liam Neeson's character plays an undercover IRA soldier. So I don't know if he was somewhat typecast early on in his career, but yeah, I thought that was worth mentioning. The scene between Martin and Liam in the park, it's one of many that showcases great cinematography in the film. A Prayer for the Dying is a fairly low budget production from the late 80s, costing around only $6 million to make. Yeah, but still, for the budget they had, the team did a really great job of producing an intriguing and intense story about a jaded IRA soldier wanting to escape. And before I get to my dislikes of the film, just also want to quickly mention the final scene from the movie. Now, I'm not going to get into too many plot details here, but ultimately Martin ends up severely injured after falling from the church roof. Martin is near death, and this leads to the final scene where Bob Hoskins' character, Father DaCosta, pleads with Martin to finally ask God for forgiveness. This is a great scene, and I thought it was emotional, and it wasn't preachy or silly, both Mickey Rourke and Bob Hoskins give really authentic performances. And just thinking more specifically about that scene, there's no use of close-ups. The camera instead remains static, which lets the scene naturally play out. Undeniably, it's a very emotional final scene for the Mickey Rourke character. Martin does end up asking God for forgiveness before ultimately passing away. So having watched this film and having some time to reflect, in retrospect, there was no real exit for the Martin character. The only exit the character had was death, unfortunately. With all the obstacles in the way, the idea of Martin seeking passage successfully to America just seemed to get further and further away. The police were hunting him down, the IRA wanted him back, and then of course there was the priest as well. It was just too much to overcome really for the character. A character that really had nothing left. You know, he was a soldier, so, you know, think about the war and the wounds and the murders. It all took its toll, and it makes you think, what kind of existence was there going to be left for Martin if he had survived anyway? Undeniably, Mickey Rourke is the best part of this film. It's an interesting story for sure, but having Mickey Rourke in the lead as an IRA soldier, it just brought a whole new dimension to the project. This film has its protagonist, who's clearly a bad guy, but yet you still end up liking them because the Martin character is so well acted and written. I watched it a few weeks back and then I did some research, and yeah, it's a fantastic movie. It really is. The more I think about it, just going through it now, Mickey Rourke gives an Oscar-worthy performance. Now, I credited Mickey Rourke in my recent review of the 1985 movie Year of the Dragon. He's the star in that movie, and once again, another great performance, but this one I think tops it, and I think maybe just because of the Irish accent and authentic portrayal of an IRA soldier that Mickey Rourke delivered here, it was Oscar worthy, and he really should have been nominated for an Oscar. It is. I can't. I've seen too many films and too many Oscar worthy films to say, okay, that is Oscar worthy. And the Martin Fallon character, played by Mickey Rourke in this movie, yeah, it is worth a nomination at least. So, dislikes for A Prayer for the Dying. The main dislike I have for this film is it would have to be the character of Anna, played by actress Sammy Davis. Her character was the niece of Father DaCosta, who ends up getting romantically involved with Martin. I didn't necessarily mind the character's involvement within the story. I just didn't really understand the whole love aspect going on between her and Martin. Like, you gotta think about, like, Martin already had enough on his plate with the IRA wanting him back, the police after him, and the guy was clearly dealing with some real personal demons. And I just didn't buy the fact that he would be romantically interested in this blind girl. You know, the character's fighting this inner turmoil, and I don't know, it just didn't make sense to me. It just didn't make sense. Taking the love aspect out of it, hey, it would have been, I think, far better. Also, another dislike I want to mention is I felt the film towards the very end, like the final act of the film, where the bombing attempt of the church takes place. Tensions rise between Martin and the gangster Jack Meehan after Martin refuses to kill Father DaCosta. This all results in fighting that takes place between Martin and Jack on top of the church. And up until this point, the film was generally very grounded, especially when you think about how this film started with a bunch of kids, innocent kids, getting killed in a bus explosion I mean, yeah, it's a very realistic, very grounded, kind of harsh, raw, movie. But we get to the end of the film, the final act taking place on the church roof, and I just felt the final act. I don't know. It just was a little bit overly kind of stylized, and it felt a little bit kind of hot, too much Hollywood. It didn't. The realism had kind of faded away, and I guess the gangster Jack Meehan, he started to come off as more of a kind of a supervillain compared to the local London gangster that he was. So yeah, I guess what I'm really summarising is a tonal change towards the very end of the film. Obviously, the final scene where Martin passes away, that was fantastic, and that kind of it brought the film back up again. But yeah, the final act leading to Martin falling from the church roof, I felt that tonal change. I just didn't like it. So, ratings for A Prayer for the Dying. I will be rating this movie a solid 6.5 out of 10. This is undoubtedly one of Mickey Rourke's best performances. It's a great movie, it's a very interesting film, and yeah, it's 100%. If you've definitely not seen this film, I would highly recommend it. I did check online, and there's not really many reviews or many people talk about this film. Nevertheless, it really is a film worth watching. It's definitely worth your time, and as I said, Mickey Rourke gives a great performance. Everyone actually gives a good performance. There's no real bad acting in this. It's just little things like the love aspect that could have been taken out, and also the final act. It was kind of edited and stylized in a way that was kind of this big grand thing when prior to that it had been a very grounded film. But 6.5 out of 10, I think that's a really fair rating to give it. I'm really glad I stumbled upon this film. It is a hidden gem, and yes, highly recommend it. If any of you guys have seen this film, I'd love to obviously hear your comments below. I take it many of you may not have, so if you haven't, as I said, highly recommend it. Go check it out. And yeah, that's it from me. Please like and subscribe. I will be back with some more reviews very soon. Take care, guys.
Like, subscribe.